Hi everyone. Hope you are doing well, keeping the best of health. And thank you so much for joining the webinar. Uh, Today we have our topper, Dipankar Chaudhary with us. And it has been a proud moment for all of us at Neo Stencil and Dipankar's mentor, Pavan Kumar sir and the team. So thank you so much. Today we have Dipankar with us, All India rank 42. Dipankar secured All India rank 42 this year in UPSC. He is already serving as an IPS officer, and this was the result that came out 5 days back. So we have Dipankar, we have Pavan Kumar sir, who mentored Dipankar in this successful journey. Just to give a small background about Dipankar, Dipankar has been hails from Jharkhand, but has done his schooling and graduation everything from Delhi. And Pavan Kumar sir is the director of faculty at Pavan Kumar IAS Academy, one of the most popular training institute for IAS. Sir has been teaching students for last 13, 14 years and have taught almost 500, 600 rankers in this journey. So Dipankar is also, one of those students who, came in contact with Pavan Kumar sir and, made it a success. So Dipankar, quickly, we'll just, I'll just ask two questions and then I'll leave it to Pavan Kumar sir to carry forward the webinar. So
yes,
thank you and congratulations, for the success. It was your effort. We would want to know how, what difference Pavan Kumar sir's classes made to you, what difference Neo Stencil made to you, by giving you access to Pavan Kumar sir. So just quick words and then we'll open up the session to Pavan Kumar sir.
Thank you very much for such a generous introduction. I actually came in contact with Pavan Kumar sir in 2017 when I started writing test series. I have actually written 3 test series with Pavan Kumar sir, 2017, 18 when I got selected in IPS, and 2019 when I got into IAS. Now, Neo Stencil, Pavan Kumar sir was, of course, he was the main person steering all our efforts in the right direction. And we'll talk about it. Neo Stencil has been very important because, see, many a times I couldn't personally attend classes. I remember I used to ask Pavan Kumar sir to mail me the question paper. I would just come and submit the answer sheets, and the discussions were very important. The answers discussions which we used to have right after the test, those were like, those moments were the formative moments of our preparation. So I used to go back to my home, especially after I got into IPS. I had very little time. I used to go back to my home in Rohini. I was living in Rohini back then, and then watch it online. And I think I was not the only one. There were other people also. And this access via Neo Stencil to Pavan Kumar sir and to lot many educators as such was a gateway to access knowledge from wherever we are sitting. I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you so much, Dipankar, for your kind words. Over to you, Pavan Kumar sir. We can, take up your session and then you will coordinate with Dipankar on, ask about his preparation journey. What is it that he did differently, that made him, IAS officer. So over to you, Pavan Kumar sir.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. I hope all of you are doing well wherever you are, taking care of yourself in these troubled times. So let me begin by talking about Pavan Kumar IAS. As Kush has mentioned, we have been coaching students for the last 13, 14 years. And this institution has produced top rankers for the last 12 years consistently. And this year also we have a tremendous performance in terms of our students. The top ranker Pradeep Singh, incidentally, is also from our institution only. He has been our student for public administration and he has also taken some classes for general studies. Same is the case with other top rankers. Dipankar has been with us for the last 3 years, as he has mentioned also. I remember Dipankar coming to me along with his friend Divyanshu, and both of them have been very good, both within the class and outside. And what I liked about Dipankar is his personality more than anything else, because at the end of the day, what really matters in the whole preparation is your personality. And this examination gives you a lot of scope to improve your personality, to make amendments to the mistakes that you have committed, and also to become a perfect human being. And that is what I have seen in Dipankar. I remember, in the last 3 years, whatever the answers he had written, the only thing that you could see in his entire account is how to improve his performance, not to sit back on the laurels. I remember in the last year, after he got into police service, even Dipankar also must be remembering these things.
Yes, sir.
He came to me, and he was very happy with getting it IPS. He said that he was thinking again about writing the examination or not, because getting it IPS itself is a very big thing. And he was a little bit not inclined to take the examination again, because as all of you know, it takes a huge amount of effort, humongous effort on the part of the students, especially after getting into services. And again, you have to take the preliminary examination immediately. You don't have much of time also. So he said that he was thinking, he was in two minds about preparing for the examination again. But you can say that I really forced him to take the examination again. And I said that you should not be happy with your success, and you should always aim for IAS. And as you can see, the result is he got 42nd rank this year. It is all about motivating yourself. It is all about consistent hard work, and it is all about your sincerity and improving your personality, which I can say proudly that Deepankar has all these qualities which are necessary. He is very good in terms of his preparation, in terms of his personality, in terms of his hard work. So coming back here, Deepankar, let me give you a brief introduction about Deepankar. He will also do the things. He has been an engineering student, and then after completing that, he started preparing for UPSC. This is his fourth attempt. He is from Jharkhand. In all these four attempts, he has cleared the prelims. As all of us know, the most difficult part of this examination is clearing the prelims, and he has done it 4 times successfully. So as part of our interaction, we would like to know from him how he has done those things very easily, clearing the examination prelims. And in the second, he has written mains, and in the third attempt, he got into IPS. In the fourth attempt, he got into IAS, 42nd rank. And as part of this initiative also, we will be having a webinars with other top rankers also, including Pradeep Singh also. We will have all these top rankers on our new Stencil platform. And we will have interactive sections with them. And of course, as we can see, there have been lots of apprehensions about public administration optional in the last few years. Some of them are genuine, and some of them can be hallucinations also, fears also, unfounded fears also. Deepankar has been one of those consistent performers as far as public administration is concerned. Last year also he scored 302 marks, which is a very, very good score in public administration. Getting 302 marks in public administration is like scoring a double century in one-day internationals. And Deepankar has done that. And we expect him to be, crossing that mark this year also. And of course, in general studies also, whether it is quality governance or ethics or economy or anything else, he has always been doing very well. The only thing that we have to remember here is that whether it is public administration or general studies, or for that matter, any other optional, what is required is if you know how to write answers, it becomes very much easier for you to clear this examination. Hundreds of students, thousands of students. I myself know so many students who have written many mains, who have attended 4 interviews, 3 interviews, but could not clear this examination. So from Deepankar, we will try to know what are the things that he has done differently compared to others, so that he could get into services. Because earlier in the first attempts, he could not clear the mains. But in the last 2 attempts, he got into IPS and then now IAS. So what are the things that he has done differently compared to the previous attempts? That is what we can know. It helps also us to know what are the things that are necessary to clear this examination. Apart from this, what I can say is that this examination requires consistent hard work. You must have a good control and knowledge over answer writing skills. This is very, very important compared to anything else, because you might be knowing the subject, but what really matters at the end of the day is whether you are able to put what you have learned on piece of paper or not. These are the things which we would like to know from Deepankar. So I don't want to waste much of a time, and I would request Deepankar to take over and explain his secret of success to all our students who are listening to this discussion. Deepankar, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a generous introduction. It was very kind of you. I would want to begin first by talking about public administration. It is true that there have been many rumors going around about public administration for quite some time, especially after 2012. Public administration went for a toss, as one would say. The questions were very unpredictable, and there were rumors about being a hidden syllabus. There were rumors about UPSC discriminating or having a biased opinion about public administration. Like Sir said, most of them are baseless. They are unfounded. And well, what I can say about this thing is that it has gotten dynamic. It has gotten very dynamic. It is not that there is a hidden syllabus or there is something which is out of the world, out of something very unique being asked in public administration. It is simply very dynamic. So from this, I would want to come to Pawan sir's test series. See, when you're writing the main examination, what matters is your answer, the answers you write. That's the substance. I was very poor at answer writing. Although I had the content, the manner in which to present that content, I think I was lacking severely in that. And I actually divide my answers into three portions, or actually I divide all answers into three portions. So there's the length of your answer, there's the content of your answer, and there's the presentation of your answer. A lot of candidates who come from colleges try and focus on the length of the answer, which is the most unimportant aspect of your answer writing, because we are in that college mindset that for a 15 marker, you should be writing 3 pages or 4 pages or 4.5 pages. That is the most unimportant aspect of your answer writing. What matters is content and presentation. And amongst these two, what matters even more is presentation. So how do you divide your answer? How do you take help of aids, visual aids like a diagram or a flow chart, or putting in data or putting in facts and figures? That is very important. If two people write similar answer, or let's say if one of them has slightly better content, the one with better presentation will actually score more marks. That's what I have realized. That's why I've realized in the test series also when I wrote the 3 years test series, which I wrote with Pawan sir. So that was the first and the foremost thing I learned, that when you are writing answers, focus on your content, and more than that, focus on your presentation. The length of your answer, it does hold some ground. It is important, but not as important as you would think. The next important thing about public administration preparation is that it is very holistic. So public administration is definitely going to help you in GS paper 2. Sometimes I think that GS paper 2 is more like public administration than public administration is. So in fact, Indian administration, the second paper of public administration, so if you look at the syllabus, public administration first paper is all about theories. And the second paper is Indian administration, various facets of Indian administration. So if you are doing your GS Indian administration, that is public administration paper 2 very well, then you are automatically being prepared for GS paper 2 and a lot many other things. I'll come to those things in detail. So your polity and governance is covered. Your social issues to some extent is covered, because you'll be studying about new public administration, self-help groups, women organizations, rural development, all these things. So your social issues gets covered to some extent. Your economics gets covered to a large extent. So in Indian administration, you have a dedicated unit towards financial administration. So you will be covering economic survey. Sir has special classes on economic survey. I suggest every one of you attend that. So monetary policy gets covered. Your fiscal policy gets covered. Your public sector units, disinvestments, recent trends in economic, GDP, all of those things which are very important for your GS paper 3 also gets covered while preparing Indian administration paper. And then comes ethics. The way I see ethics, there is a huge portion in ethics which is overlapping with public administration. So you have things like the Lokpal, the RTI Act, integrity, probity and governance, Central Vigilance Commission, corruption, Prevention of Corruption Act. All these things overlap with public administration. So the benefit of preparing with public administration is that it has a very huge and significant overlap with your GS preparation. So that actually helps you not, it becomes easier for you. Sometimes what I felt was, although it is not suggested, I had to sort of differentiate my answers in public administration to make it look more like public administration. But sometimes I felt I was writing similar answers in GS paper 2 and public administration, especially when it comes to financial administration and such things, or when it comes to local governance, the municipalities and the Panchayati Raj system. But that's the core of that. That's the core of it, that public administration is going to help you in that. So that's the first and the foremost thing I wanted to speak about public administration. Next, sir said that I cleared prelims 4 times in a row. I would want to emphasize a lot on that because, like sir said, prelims is the diciest step it's the diciest phase. We have 3 phases in this examination, and prelims is the most dicey step. You can say interview is unpredictable, but prelims is very dicey. The margin of error is very small. So 1 or 2 questions correct, you get into the list, and 1 or 2 questions you falter, you are out of the list. So the margin of error is very, very small in prelims. There are 2 or 3 things I would want to mention about prelims, which at this very end moment, because I think you have prelims coming up in October, is very important. Number 1, revise. Revise as many times as you can. Whatever books you're reading, it's better to have 1 or 2 sources for each subject, whether it is modern history or economics or current affairs, rather than diversifying your sources, 10 different sources, and then not being able to consolidate or concretize those sources in the last few months. So revise, and revise again. Number 2, I would say that prelims and mains both require a very in-depth study. Nowadays, people have gotten into the habit of towards the end, they would pick up something like a half-yearly compilation or a monthly compilation, or they would pick up a list which says that 50 most important topics of prelims or 100 most important topics of prelims. That list is important. That can help you, provided you are thorough with your basics. Simply depending on that list and thinking that you can clear prelims by simply studying those 50 topics or 100 topics or that yearly compilations is not going to cut it. That list can help you in revision. That list can enrich your content. It can add value to your content, but that won't help. So I would say that don't get into the habit on relying those last moment materials supplied by many coaching institutes in Delhi. Go for a thorough preparation. And for a thorough preparation, you would have to study hard. You would have to spend time with your books. That is very important. So, and the third very important thing when it comes to prelims is that you should be writing tests. Tests are not just important because you have to write them. They are important because after you write tests, you sit down, you analyze, you spend at least 2 or 3 hours with the question paper, thinking about what mistakes you made. Did you attempt more number of questions? Did you get too adventurous and made many mistakes? Or were you too conservative and you could have attempted more, but you couldn't attempt more because you were already scared, what if I make a mistake? The perfect spot, the balance, where you get to know this is the exact number of questions I should be attempting is very important. So that will happen when you practice many question papers. That goes for main examination also. I remember one thing I would want to talk about main examination answer writing after public administration prelims, and I would come to main examination answer writing, is that I had written a lot of answers in Pavan Kumar test series, Pavan Kumar sir's test series also. After I failed twice, what I used to do was that I used to, of course, everyone gets the topper's copy. What people do is that they read the topper's answer and they just give it a cursory reading, a flimsy reading. What you should be doing is that you should be looking at the topper's answer and going for a thorough comparison with your answer. Was it something extra which he wrote? And I realized that more or less our answers used to be very close to each other. I would feel that these are the exact same things I have written, which the topper has written. So why am I scoring less and why is he scoring less? I'll tell you, one of the big mantras of my success when it comes to the main examination is that I somehow figured this out. It might not be correct, but this is my opinion, that in the civil services main examination, you are writing 117 questions. So 20, 20, 20 in GS paper 1, 2, and 3. You write 19 questions in your ethics paper, and then you write 19 and 19 in your optional paper 1 and optional paper 2. So that's an overall of 117 papers, 117 questions. The way UPSC goes about checking your answers is that if you write a very good answer, you might score 9 out of 15. But if you write an average answer or a good answer, you won't be scoring 5 out of 15 or 6 out of 15. You would be scoring 7.5 or 8 out of 15. So the essential, what I want to emphasize is that the margin between a very good answer and a good answer is only 1.5 marks. But that 1 or 1.5 marks over a period of 100 questions or 117 questions, it accumulates and creates a difference of 100 marks or 110 marks. And that is a huge difference. So what you should be doing is that you should be focusing where you can score that extra 1 or 1.5 marks in every question you write in your main examination. That will happen. Like I said, test series are very important for that. Written 3 test series. So when you write tests, when you analyze your test, when you compare your answers with topper's answers, you come to know that what is that extra thing he did? Was it a diagram? Was it some fact? Was it his presentation, or was it some extra content which got him an edge of 1 or 1.5 marks? That's the thing you're fighting for. You're fighting for an edge of 1.5 marks in every answer. So you have to be consistently good in all your answers, fighting for that extra 1.5 marks. And over a period of 117 questions, that is going to create a huge difference. That was one thing which I did in my 2018 attempt when I got selected in IPS. So I would bring toppers answer sheets from Pawan sir's classroom. There can be some discrepancy when it comes to checking questions, because there are many teachers who are checking the question, so there can be some discrepancy, but more or less it is normalized. More or less it is what you deserve. It is what you deserve. That's what I've figured. It cannot be that you deserved a very good mark and you have been given 3 marks out of 15. It won't happen like that. So you bring the topper's answer, you go for a point-by-point comparison, you look what's that one extra point which you missed, and then you go back to sir's lectures, the discussions which happen after the classroom. In those lecture, now let me tell this very frankly, if you are writing an answer for a 10 marks question, sir will give you content for writing a 20 marks answer. He'll give you a lot of content. You will never face a shortage of content. What you will face difficulty in is how you present that in a time-bound manner, in a concise way, and how do you condense all of that content into, in a 10 marks answer in 2 pages, in 150 words. So there you won't have any shortage. Sir will give you enough content. He will enrich it with economic survey. He will enrich it with latest current affairs, newspapers, whatever is there under the roof. He'll enrich it with everything. Now comes your part. See, sir will even give you proper model answers, but your role is to somehow mold that answers as per your unique needs, so that you can answer it very well while writing answers. So that's their one thing. Read both the topper's answers, read your answers, and read sir's model answers. All these 3 combined. You should not be missing out on any of these aspects. And that is going to add a lot of weight to your answer writing. Another thing about mains answer writing, which goes for both public administration and GS, is that there is a lot of people use diagrams and flow charts and everything, but there is something called an effective use of diagrams and flow charts, which I figured out from sir's examples and also what I observed. What do I mean by effective use? So I have 2 thumb rules for using diagrams. The first thumb rule is that if you're using a diagram or a flow chart, then it should condense the amount of content you're writing. So if you could write the same content in paragraph forms and it would take half a page, but the diagram is taking 1 full page, then don't make the diagram. Better stick with writing it in paragraph forms. The diagram should take a lot of content and condense it into a shorter space, so that one cursory look and the examiner knows that you are thorough with this concept. And the second thing about diagram is that you shouldn't have to explain it. The diagram should be self-explanatory. If you are making a diagram or a flow chart and then you're spending 2 paragraphs explaining those diagrams and flow charts, then that's useless. Just write the explanation. Don't go for the diagram or flow chart. Diagrams and flow chart are very important. They will add value to your presentation, but they have to be used very cautiously. And how do you use it very cautiously and very effectively? That will happen only after you write enough number of tests. And of course, that's the entire mantra. So use diagrams and flow charts. And the last thing about diagrams and flow charts I would want to say is that, you won't get a revelation all of a sudden in the examination that, yes, this question deserves such a such diagram. You will have to prepare your diagrams, your flow charts beforehand for every topic. You have to think before, you have to act proactively and think that if I get a question on such and such topic, if I get a question on these topics, how will I present my answers? So in public administration, there are some very core topics which keep on repeating themselves year after year. I think sir would agree with me on that. For those things, there are some, you will get those in class. You can prepare them yourselves. You can prepare, you can prepare these diagrams, presentation method, flow charts, everything beforehand. Don't try and improvise on the exam in the examination hall. That you'll make a mess of your answer. Don't do that. If you haven't prepared it beforehand, better go with the conventional writing style method. So this was in gist. This was the gist of my preparation when it comes to prelims, public administration, and mains. For more specific questions, I
Sure.
put
Thanks.
it over to Kush.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dipankar. Thanks for this informative session. So just a few questions before we put it to the audience. So what was that moment that triggered you towards civil services, Dipankar?
So I'll tell you my story. I graduated from DC, DTU, Delhi College of Engineering in 2015. And for a short while, I was working in a private sector. And I don't wish to demean any company, any firm or their work culture, but somehow I felt that my father was in the civil services. So that was a push too. So 2015, I resigned. Towards the beginning of 2016, I resigned from private sector. And then 2016 onwards, I started my preparation. So 2016, 2017, 2018, I could clear the examination. So that's 2.5 or almost 3 years of rigorous preparation. And actually, I would say I got lucky because there are people who prepare for 7-8 years and are still not able to clear the examination. So I would say that with 3 years, I got quite lucky. I wouldn't say there was any specific moment. It was like, I kept convincing myself or the situations around me. It was like it accumulated over a period of time.
So was it a bad boss that triggered it? Can we take it?
No, it was, my boss was nice. It wasn't, how do I put it? It was not a bad boss. It was
it was just a candid question. Of course, don't take it seriously.
Yeah. Kush, there is one question from my side.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. How did you motivate yourself in this entire journey of your civil service preparation? It has been a very long journey. You started in 2016.
Yes,
so how did you motivate? How did you keep, motivate yourself for this all this 4.5 years of preparation? Because it requires yes. Yeah, correct.
See, discipline is very important when it comes to this examination. You cannot be studying in patches. I think sir mentioned about consistency. You cannot go about studying 2 weeks and then taking a break for 1 week. And you cannot be studying like 2 months and then take a break for 1 month and then again start your preparation after 2 months. You won't gain anything. You have to be consistent in your preparation. So discipline is very important. How did I motivate myself? I had that goal. See, fear is a very strong motivator. I do agree with that. After giving up my job and seeing my friends prosper, that fear element was very important. Other than that, there are issues and things, and I would want to emphasize on this for a lot many people, that it becomes monotonous, it becomes drudgery, following the same schedule every day in and out. So there are a few things I would strongly recommend. Please take care of your mental health and your physical health. Exercise regularly. You might think this is a very cliched thing to say, it's not important, but let me tell you, exercise helps you in unimaginable ways. It rewires your brain. If you have a very good mentor who keeps motivating you and who has a very good sense of humor, Pawan sir is known for that, then that will add spice and smile to your preparation. And keep talking to your loved ones, your parents, your spouse, your fiance, whatever you have, in case you have that. So that is also very important. Motivation will come. You see yourself, I called it visualizing your goal. So every time when you're running or doing yoga or whatever, I would think about how would I look or how would people perceive me when I finally reach that destination. So that 10 minutes of visualization gives you actually gives you a very strong push. So try and visualize your future every day for 5 or 10 minutes. That is a very strong motivator.
Okay. Yeah. One more question is, in your first 2 attempts, you have not got the interview call. Even though you have written main. So what are the changes you have made to your preparation after those 2 attempts so that you could get into IPS and now IAS? Because these are the things. These are the things because we have so many students who have, attended interview at least 3 times, 4 times, could not get into services. And, all of them are really right now, in a doubt regarding what to do, what are the things that they can do differently so that they would be able to get into services. And what are the things that we have done differently?
See, the first and the foremost important thing I would want to say is that remove all preconceived notions about this examination. A lot of people, after studying 2 years or 3 years, they tend to think that I am set in my own ways. So if they meet a new mentor or a new teacher, they find it very difficult to adapt to his style of answer writing or his style of teaching. They think that I know better. I have written main 3 times, but still you're not clearing the examination. So inertia sets in. You don't want to change a lot about your preparation. And that is very difficult. Even after I studied for 2 years, and in 2017, I started writing test series with Pavan sir, I had that inertia. I didn't want to accept a few things, accept a few patterns of answer writing. I scored poorly in test series because of that. I couldn't get marks. And I used to say to myself, oh, it's the examiner's fault. He's not giving me good marks. But and a lot of people do that. It's the examiner's fault. He's not giving me good marks. You would go there, argue with the teacher, argue with the examiner. Better to sit back, listen to what he has to say, and see if you can incorporate those changes. Trust me, don't struggle with the system, become a part of the system. It's very important. If you struggle beyond the limit, you are going to get into trouble. So adapt it, listen to, see, people who have such a long experience in teaching, they are not speaking without any data or any, they have their reasons to tell you what they tell you. So listen to that carefully, adapt it in your own unique way. That's what I did. I changed my answer writing pattern drastically after my second mains. I was, that's what I said. Every question I used to look for how to improve my presentation, what extra content I can add, how to get that edge of extra 1.5 marks. For every question, I would spend half an hour, 45 minutes after a test had ended, after the discussions had ended, after I had read the topper's answer sheet. I would sit down and think, okay, so now if I have to write this answer all over again, what changes would I be making this time if I have to write this answer again? And there's no harm in writing the same answer over and over again until you get perfection. You can write it 2 times or 3 times and then see, okay, now this looks perfect. Maybe if I wrote this answer, I would have scored better. So that painstaking effort to improve yourself, even very minute aspects of your preparation, and not having any inertia, not be willing to change. Bureaucracy is said to be very status quoist. You should be willing to change. If the situation demands, if UPSC demands it, if your mentor is telling you to, be willing to change.
Okay, coming back to your prelims, sir. You have cleared prelims in all your 4 attempts. What have been your scores in prelims?
Sir, I don't remember my scores every attempt. Last year it was 108, and this time the marks are yet to come.
Yeah.
Sir, I never cleared prelims with a margin of 15 marks. It was always 6 or 7 marks. That was my score. I don't remember all of.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Carry on. Yeah, please carry on.
So, one thing about prelims is that after you step out of prelims examination hall, you shouldn't have two doubts. You shouldn't be doubtful about it, because that hampers your mains preparation. You're always worried. You're checking answer sheets or answer keys from different institutes. You're constantly going online looking for cutoff predictions, and you're very happy if someone predicts cutoff in your range, and then you get sad if someone says that the cutoff might go off. So that distracts you a lot. Either you are mentally strong enough to not be distracted by that, or you simply score in a safe range that you don't have to worry about it. You have to do either of these things. If you're on the borderline, then you have to be mentally strong enough to not be distracted by it.
You are from engineering background, right?
Yes, sir.
Then why did you opt for public administration?
So this was a question asked to me in UPSC interview also, and I'll first give the answer which I give in my UPSC interview, and then I'll give the real answer.
Right.
The reason I opted for public, I graduated in mathematics and computing. So UPSC in its list of optional does not have mathematics and computing. So that was a very safe option, that my graduation subject did not exist in the list of optionals in UPSC. That was the UPSC answer. In reality, I think that it sort of initiates you into administration from the very beginning. Let me tell you, when you go to Labashna or do your foundation course, you will be again studying a lot of things which you have already studied in your UPSC preparation. So that's true. It will sort of make your life easier. It will initiate you into that phase already. And second, see, for public administration, there are great mentors available, and Pawan sir being the foremost one. And one important thing is that public administration syllabus is short. It has gotten very dynamic after uh, people flooded, aspirants flooded public administration. Now a balance, a equilibrium has been achieved. I sort of think that. But the most important part is that the overlap with GS, which public administration has, I don't think any other subject can overlap so much with general studies from GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, ethics, GS paper 4. Except for GS paper 1, all these papers have, and if you study public administration very well, then you don't have to worry about polity in your prelim examination, because you're already studying so much of administration and polity and parliament and everything, and executive and judiciary, that it becomes sort of easier for you in prelims.
Okay, you have scored more than 300 marks last year in your public administration, which, as I said, is like scoring, scoring double century in a one-day international. So, what really is the secret of your success of scoring more than 300 marks in public administration? Because everyone wants to know this from you.
I'll tell you the scores of my first two mains: 180, 245, 302. So from 180, I had to come to 302. And if someone were to give me the answers when I wrote, the answers I wrote when I scored 180, I would laugh at those answers. I would actually laugh at myself. So the improvement from 180 to 302, it has taken a lot of effort. Like I said, writing a very good test series when it comes to public administration especially is very important. And revising that test series, I remember I used to have those photocopied answer sheets of the topper and my answer sheets also. So you get almost 5 days gap between your GS paper 4 and or your optional paper. I had already studied those answers, the topper's answers, sir's model answers, and my answers very well. And I had sort of highlighted very important questions. Like this question is very important, this question is very important. So on the last day, I would simply go and revise only those questions. That would be my preparation for the last day. And I'll tell you what, questions will get repeated from the test series. If not the exact same sentence, if not the exact same wording, then the exact same theme or similar theme. So the answer will revolve more or less around the similar theme. The answer would be more or less very similar with minor tweaks here and there. So preparing those and writing test series for 3 years, I had a very good question bank. I had almost like 300, 400 questions with model answers already prepared. So that was a very handy question bank to come into to help me. And like I said, earlier also I talked about it, work on your presentation. Content enrichment will happen. You will get enough content with sir, and you can always generate content with hard work. Work on your presentation, write answers and analyze your answers, and revise as many times as you can. You might be writing a very good answer, but you might still not be scoring because you are lacking in presentation, or there must be some dynamic lacking. So presentation being the most important one, you work on your flowcharts, you work on your diagrams. It won't happen in a day. You'll have to work on it for like 2, 3, 4 months. Then you will have a good compilation of that, diagrams and everything. And that will drastically improve your, see, everyone who clears prelims is smart, because you cannot come in top 10,000 out of 6 lakh people. So the competition is stiff. Now, between the top 10,000, you want to come into top 50, top 100, top 200, whatever your aim is. Everyone is writing good answers. To get that 1.5 extra mark, it's very difficult. And unless you practice and unless you are mentored very wisely by someone, it's very difficult.
Now you are already in police service. Can you share some of your experiences as a police officer at the field level, to our aspiring students?
I'll tell you one very interesting incident. There was a question last year on Cyberdome. Cyberdome, if you remember, it was in GS paper 3, I think.
Yeah.
So Cyberdome is a Kerala project. So when I came to Kerala, I started working on Cyberdome. So one day I was speaking to my DIG and I told him, sir, that so you won't, I don't know if you know or not, UPSC asked a question on Cyberdome. And he laughed and said, that's our greatest success, that UPSC is talking about our pet projects. And Cyberdome is a really good project. You must look into it. Kerala, when it comes to policing, is a very advanced state. I must say that I'm leaving Kerala cadre, but I sort of fell in love with Kerala. It's a very advanced state. You remember the Prakash Singh judgment, it had some guidelines. Kerala has a model police act. It's called Kerala Police Act, KAPA, formed enacted in 2011. And it is a very advanced act. It has everything which Prakash Singh judgment said. It has a complaints authority. It has a state security commission. It has separated law and order from investigation. So at the field level, we have a crime SI, SI is sub-inspector, who investigates all important cases. And then we have a law and order SI. So every police station, you will have two different police officers of the same rank, normally sub-inspector or inspector rank, completely working in two different areas, the crime SI and the law and order SI. And that separation is very strong and very beautifully implemented in Kerala. So you won't have the same person doing investigation or writing case diaries for the first 3 hours a day and then going for a bandobast duty in some mela or a festival or a crowd control event for the next hour. He gets distracted. That's not how investigation is it's an art. I couldn't get a chance to investigate a case myself because I'm still new in the service. Had I been here for 1 month more, then I would have been investigating murder, rape, dowry, all those cases. But that didn't happen with me. And so that was one of the ground experiences I had with Kerala. The policing is very advanced, and community policing in a lot of state, community policing is a HR exercise or a PR exercise. It's more about public relations. You advertise it, you pick big banners, you put everything. In Kerala, we have a Jan Maitri scheme. Kerala community policing, it works on the ground. So in Corona right now, we are sending constable or head constables. We call it CPO, civil police officers. We are sending head constable level officers to some selected households, senior citizens, vulnerable people. And we are also delivering them food. We are delivering them supplies. We are delivering a lot of stuff so as to, they live a normal life. And people are law abiding in Kerala. The civic sense is very good. The administration is strict. The police is very strict. The corruption levels are very low. And the police is well equipped. The government has you won't have a scarcity of resources in Kerala. There would be some scarcity. You can always ask for more resources, but compared to other states, Kerala is fairly good in that. So these were some of but the Cyberdome experience there was like, they were very happy that UPSC took up that Cyberdome question.
Yeah. So now I think we can take questions from the audience, the students who are attending this webinar. Yes.
Thank you, Deepankar sir. Thank you, Pawan sir. So I ask aspirant students, so please raise your hand to ask a direct question to sir, or you can ask in Q&A chat box your questions. So we will take one by one audio questions for Deepankar sir and Pawan sir. So Sukanta, we are unmuting you. Please ask your question. Sukanta. Shrishi, we have unmuted you. Please ask your question to sir. Please unmute yourself. There is some connection problem, I think.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Shrishi, please ask
Yes.
your question. Yeah.
Sir, my question to the 42 ranker.
Yeah, Deepak. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I given 2 prelims last 2018, 2019. So my concern is that I'm not able to make it, at least only 2 to 3 marks. I'm not able to make it. So could you please tell me that how to overcome that?
So if you're writing 2020 prelims this time, there's not a lot of time left. I think in October you have your prelims. You are just missing the cutoff by 2 or 3 marks. See, I don't want to suggest you new books or new study material at this moment because you won't be able to do it. I would say prioritize your study, focus on polity, environment, modern Indian history, and economics and current affairs based on these topics. They cover a bulk portion of your prelims examination. Things like art and culture. A lot of people spend a lot of time on art and culture, but the cost benefit is very poor. You can study everything and still UPSC would ask something that nobody knows. Or similarly, it would ask some report, some index, which organization prepared it. So don't try and memorize. You don't spend time on those things. Prioritize these things. Make sure that you don't miss questions from these topics. And maybe you'll be able to score that 4 or 5 extra marks if you ensure that these 4 or 5 topics, you have a strong grip over these 4 or 5 topics.
Thanks. We will take next question
Thank you,
from
sir.
Sophia.
Thank you,
Sophia, please unmute yourself and ask question.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I want to ask 2 questions. My first question is that in paper 1, should we see more written paragraph, and paper 2 should be more written points of public administration? And sir, my second question is basically that sometimes UPSC asks very
Sophia, can you put your
questions.
speaker?
For example, so they ask questions on
See, your voice is
like
not
one
clear,
question I
Sophia.
asked for previous year, that is the imperatives of administrative ethics are
Sophia,
necessary and
Sophia, I think
antidote
you have
to
opened two
only going to
instances.
orders argument. So these are very
Sophia, I think you
abstract
have opened two
questions. So how will
instances
the
of Zoom.
students
Can you please shut
answer
down
these
one?
sort of questions? Thank you, sir.
So, Sophia, I couldn't get your voice clearly.
Sorry, sir, I
Please
couldn't
mute
get you.
yourself. Please mute yourself.
Sorry, sir, I think there's
Yeah,
some
hello.
voice issue from my behalf.
Yeah. So, Sophia,
yeah.
I couldn't get your questions very clearly. I could make out something of the first question. You were telling that the first paper should be written in paragraph form and the second paper should be written in points form. I would say rather go for points form. You can have a paragraph as an introduction. You can have a paragraph as a conclusion. And many questions have 2 or 3 parts. So when you are moving from one part of the question to another part of the question, that the connection, there could be a connecting paragraph to link one part of the question to the other part of the question. But your content should come in point forms. There is no hard and fast rule. I prefer it in point form because it makes it, number one, easier for the examiner. And number 2, if you number your points like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so the examiner can figure out that, okay, now this person, after reading your answer, he can give a cursory look and figure out, okay, this person has covered 8 different dimensions or 8 different aspects of that question. So it becomes easier for him to evaluate your answer. That I would suggest for both the papers, paper 1 and paper 2. You can write in paragraph form. I wouldn't discourage you from doing that, but I would rather advise that you go for point forms.
So for the second question, am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Sir, sometimes they ask very abstract questions. For example, they will ask a question on administrative ethics, which will be very complicated, like political responsiveness, etc. So it's not a very specific question. So how do you go about that with questions?
When you get, I have a thumb rule. When UPSC gets abstract, you go factual. So you start putting in examples. You mention a point and you put an example, and you should have plenty of examples covering all dimensions of that. So when you are dealing with such abstract questions, there are 2 things you can do. So if it talks about, let's say, politics and administration, then you can quote a thinker who has talked about dichotomy. You can talk about balanced and unbalanced polity. You can talk about rigs or something like that. And then you start quoting examples. Examples are a lifesaver. If you're stuck anywhere, that's the thing you clinch to. Like if you're drowning, the first thing you hold on to are examples, and they sort of enrich your answer. So if you're at a loss of words, you don't know what to write in this question, put in theories and thinkers. See, every question, to understand every question in depth within a period of those 3 hours, it can become tiring. It can become difficult. So you get the gist of the question, you understand, okay, fine, this is the core idea. I think this is what this question means. It looks very abstract. You pull out some theories which can be applied to that question, and then you pull out examples. That's the only way to go about it, in my opinion. Maybe sir can guide you better in that sense.
Very small question, sir. Sometimes in paper 2, they ask very generic questions. I feel like I'm writing for GS paper 2. So, sir, for
It will
example, they will
happen.
ask on financial inclusion. So, do you write a public administration specific with the mentioning thinkers, etc., or we write simple?
If you can sprinkle public administration here and there, that's fine. But if you can't go for a GS answer, it won't. See, I know it's true. Sometimes they ask some questions which are like, for instance, they ask a question on, I think on SEBI or intellectual property last to last year
Yes, sir, they ask
in
on
public
try.
administration. Try. Telecom
Right.
Regulatory Authority of
Yeah.
India. Now, to write a very public administration specific answer was very difficult on that question. It was a very specific question. Similarly, this year they asked a question on national training policy, something national.
Yes, sir.
I hadn't studied that policy. I left that question because I didn't study that. So once they would ask a question on, let's say, now this is a very specific public administration question, role of district collector in disaster management or environmental issues, or something like that, or role of district collector in agricultural issues. For that, you would know, keep a good hold of government schemes, especially the flagship schemes, the schemes which the government comes out with a lot of pomp and show, and they advertise every year, everywhere, on every petrol pump, on every fuel station, like Ujjwala Yojana or Fasal Bima Yojana. Be thorough about those schemes. On such questions which feel as if they're a GS question, you can quote such schemes, and your answer will overlap with a GS answer. There's nothing you can do about it. There will be it will look like a GS answer. You can't
Sir,
help
my
it.
specific problem is that I'm getting 115 paper one from last 3 years, but in second paper I'm getting 125, and I think I'm just trying to forcefully add thinkers and all of this. This is to Pavan sir also, sir, if you can help.
Yeah, I think let me come in here for a few moments. Okay. So first thing you must remember, Sophia, is that we should not unnecessarily make your answer theoretical. This is what I keep on telling also in Deepankar and all others also, they know all these things which I keep on telling them in the class. Don't unnecessarily make your answers too theoretical or conceptual. It does not really matter whether you are writing a GS answer or a public administration answer. What really matters is whether your answer is relevant to the question or not. For example, there was a question on fiscal policy and monetary policy, which is more effective. There is no public administration in that one. If you try to unnecessarily want to put something related to public administration, the answer becomes very bad. So that is the reason why don't unnecessarily try to make this kind of artificial distinction between public administration and GS answers. If you look at Indian administration question paper this year, that is 2019, all the questions of Indian administration paper can be asked in any of the 4 papers of your general studies.
Yes, sir.
And they have been asked also. Indeed, they have been asked in all the 4 papers of general studies also. Same questions. Of course, I keep on saying with the spelling mistakes also, they keep on repeating the questions. So you don't have to unnecessarily worry about all these things. What you must make sure is that your answer should contain 3 important parts. That is, first, you start with the why aspect of the question. Second part is explanation. In this explanation part, you are giving the facts, from Indian administration, from general studies, from economy, from polity, from administration, from governance schemes and everything else. As part of conclusion, you are talking about the solutions. If you are able to structure your answer in this manner, it does not really matter whether you are writing public administration or general studies answers. Your answers will always be relevant to the question that is being asked, and you will definitely score 150 marks above in paper 2 also. I think, Sophia, your problem is that you are trying to be too theoretical. Maybe that's what I can guess from your questions. And another thing is that another thing that you have asked is about this abstract questions like administrative ethics and everything else. When the questions are abstract, as even Deepankar also has pointed out, you write whatever you don't know. This is what I keep on telling.
True.
You write whatever you don't know, and the best part of it is that it will become relevant to the answer. Coming back here seriously, if the question is abstract, your answer can be as general as it should be, so that examiner will be able to find all the necessary points from your answer, because you don't know exactly what is the specific answer to that question. So try to include as many points as you can in that answer itself, so that he will be able to find all the answers and he will give you marks. Please remember, the fact here is that for these abstract questions, nobody will be writing perfect answers. So it will be some kind of relativity, theory of relativity. Whoever writes better will be getting more marks, because there is no what we call perfect universal answer for this kind of questions. So it is better you write more. That is where your knowledge becomes more important here. If you're writing about administrative ethics, as Deepankar also has pointed out, give examples from the recent the Indian administration, where you find the administrators have found themselves facing these kind of ethical issues and how they have resolved. And give recommendations of Second Administrative Reforms Commission. And talk about the recent initiatives on the part of the Government of India. And another thing that I want to point out here, even Deepankar also has made that point. Please try to write your answers in point format, whether it is paper 1 or paper 2. And wherever it is possible, interlink paper 1 and paper 2. But it should not be imposed artificially in your answer. I said, if you look at all the questions related to financial administration, all those questions were asked in your Indian Economy General Studies paper 3. And you are writing the same answer. Because in financial administration, you don't have any many thinkers. When it comes to financial administration, at least development administration, you can talk about risks or any other thinker. In financial administration, you don't have any thinkers. So the questions are purely economics, and you have to write a purely answers from the economic point of view. That is what you must remember. So don't try to unnecessarily get into this tangle of supporting your answers from the point of view of the thinkers or anything like that. Try to make your answers as simple as possible, and you will definitely score good marks in Indian administration.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have next one question in chat from Uday. This is specifically for Deepankar, sir. 2 or 3 things that you could have done more to get rank 1.
Yes.
I'll tell you something about UPSC. If you work hard, you can get a top 100 rank or a top 50 rank. But the person who gets rank 1, he has some special God's blessing. If you have it in your hand, in your fate, see, there is not much of a talent difference or a marks difference. If you look at the UPSC, the difference in marks between rank 20 and 30 might be 1 mark or 2 marks. So you can always work hard and get a very good rank, but no one in this world can guarantee a rank 1. No one in this world can guarantee a rank 1. Even the person who gets rank 1, one night before the results, he's always thinking, maybe I'll win the list, maybe I won't in the list. He's not even sure about being in the list. So I don't know, I could have worked even harder, scored more marks, but there's nothing I could say I could have done which would have ensured a 100% rank 1. There's nothing like that in my mind.
No, maybe Deepankar, you could have visited more temples.
Yeah, in Kerala there are plenty. I should have.
Yes, you should have offered more prayers.
True.
Right.
So we will take next question from Gaurav. Gaurav, please unmute yourself and ask question.
Yes, sir. So good afternoon, sir. Sir, my question is that I am currently BTech third year computer science student, and I devote myself as 8 and 10 hours to the study, but with college study, and but did not decide any optional yet. What should I have to do, and how can I evaluate myself on which stage my preparation is goes? I just started to NCERT, and I didn't think out of the box. So can any suggestion for me, sir?
So if you ask me, I would say go for public administration because that's my optional. But optional is purely a question of interest. There is no good or bad optional. Public administration does have its advantages. So other options also have their advantages. If you want to gauge how your preparation is, at what level you are preparing, then the only option is writing tests. That will give you a comparison with other people. Otherwise, you won't be able to how. So start with your basic NCERTs, read more books, get in touch with a good mentor. You already have one. And optional, see, I would suggest public administration, but it's your personal call.
We will take next question from Asia. Asia, please ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, I am from J&K. I am pursuing my PG in political science from University of Kashmir. I have thought to go for the civil services. Sir, my question is that how would I begin with the preparation? May you please suggest to me? Would it be for me that what would be that good for me, either to select political science as an optional or public administration? Please you answer my question.
See, like I said, selection of optional is a very personal choice. It has to come from you. How to go about preparation? Well, now you have new stencil, so you can connect with any teacher anywhere in India from anywhere all over the world. So that shouldn't be a problem. You can study on your own. You can join in so many courses which are available. And see, like I said, public administration has its advantages. I have listed them out at least twice or thrice during this interaction. But uh, it's your call. And how to begin your preparation? When I started my preparation, I started with polity, and I started with polity and modern Indian history. So I used to study two subjects simultaneously. Otherwise, studying the same subject the entire day, it gets sort of monotonous and boring. So if you want to just, if you're at the first step, then start with polity and modern Indian history. And again, this is also a very personal opinion. You can start in your own customized way. You can ask, Sir is a better person to answer this question, I think.
In fact, what I would suggest is that it depends on your aptitude, whether you like that particular subject or not. Since you are already studying political science, you can as well take political science. It depends on your aptitude. Only thing that I can tell you about public administration is that, as Deepankar also pointed out, it covers a good amount of your general studies syllabus. And you will definitely be writing a better answers compared to others in your general studies papers. For example, if you take this year's ethics paper, half the questions of ethics paper, whether it is section A or the case studies, are directly from public administration, and you require in-depth knowledge of public administration to answer those questions. From that perspective, it can be very easy for you. Otherwise, it is your choice at the end of the day.
So we will take next question from Ashish.
Yeah.
Ashish, please ask your question. Unmute yourself.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Go on, please.
Yeah, yes, I'm audible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, Deepankar. Glad to have a question. So I have just covered one time the public administration syllabus. So I just wanted to ask, what is the right time to opt for a test series?
There is no, I did it after the preliminary examination. For me, that time is very suitable. I think right now, prelims are very close, so you shouldn't be writing, at least not right now. After prelims would be the right time.
Actually, I'm preparing for 2021, sir.
Okay, so you're preparing for 2021. So maybe you can try a test series, which will happen after, I think there will be every year there is, so there will be a test series after prelims. You can write that will give you some extra boost. And after that 2020 mains is over, you can go back to your prelims preparation and then again write it in 2021. I would suggest you write it both the times. If you want to write it only once, then go for 2021. But I would rather suggest you write it both the times. Actually, sir is in fact a better person to answer this question. I shouldn't be answering this question.
Yeah, in fact, it is better because since you are writing for next year, if you are taking this year test series, it can improve your writing skills, because next year you will not have much of time after the prelims. You will have only 3.5 months for mains. It will be difficult for you to improve your answer writing. Maybe you can go for this year. It depends on your choice.
So just one more question, Pawan, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have covered your notes, and I think what my strategy is, I will revise your notes again and again. Yeah. And I think that should be enough. But do you think if I should do anything else apart from that? I'm doing second ARC as well. So because what I have heard from the seniors, that feedback that it is very difficult to recollect facts at the time of when you give the exam. So
yes. So that is the reason why.
Light on.
Yeah, so that is the reason why I would say that you read less and remember more. That is very important. And that's the reason why I said that apart from our notes, you can go for economic survey, because it gives you a lot of facts. And then secondly, Administrative Reforms Commission reports, the recommendations, and the NITI Aayog reports. These are the things which are essential, because for every question you have to answer with the help of these government documents information, because that is the most authentic information that you can have. Apart from that, you should be thorough with your current affairs, because whether we like it or not, the public administration papers in the recent times are almost the same as the general studies papers. There is no difference, especially in Indian administration. So you should be thorough with current affairs. Apart from that, I don't think you need to read much.
Thank you, sir. We will take next question from Supriya.
Yeah.
Supriya, please unmute yourself and ask question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, Supriya.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Sir, I have started my preparation in April 2020 and I have completed NCERT. My question is that whether should I study GS and optional simultaneously or give separate time for them? I have chosen sociology as my optional.
Yeah, Deepankar, you can answer.
Should you study GS and see, there's a time to do everything. Right now, you should not be studying your optional. Right now, if you ask me, I would say only study for prelims, don't study your optional. If you're writing you were preparing for 2021, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're preparing for 2021. So then right now you can spend time on both GS and optional. That is feasible for you right now. So 2021, let's say you have your prelims in June. Let's say if everything goes fine, if this corona thing gets over, then you will have your preliminary exam in 2021 June. So maybe from 2021 January or February, you can keep aside your optional and then completely focus on prelims, the last 3.5 months. Right now, it's advisable that you can study both simultaneously. Divide your time well, because studying the same thing for the entire day, like I said, it gets monotonous and boring. So divide it in a balanced fashion, or maybe intermix it 2 hours GS, 2 hours optional, 2 hours GS, 2 hours optional, whatever suits you, whatever sails your boat. But you can study both of them simultaneously right now.
Okay, sir. And sir, how did you prepare for current affairs? Which along with Hindu, which magazines did you use for that?
See, for current affairs, I did not read Hindu. I was a fan of Indian Express. I preferred Indian Express more. You can prefer either, it's your choice. I used to follow Vision's current affairs magazine, but what I used to do was that I used to get their printouts. I didn't buy them from Rajendra Nagar. I used to get my own personal printouts, one-sided printout. So on one side, I would have the notes and the other side would be blank. So now if you're preparing for civil services, I'm pretty sure you're smart enough that you can condense a 800-word article into 50 words or 40 words. So every time I read the newspaper, I would try and remember, okay, this topic has been covered in such and such current affair magazine. So I would go down and write the gist of that on the blank side. Or if I didn't understood anything, I would Google it up, I would look it up on Wikipedia, and I would just scribble it down on the blank side. And then I would cross-reference it. So like, for instance, if I'm reading something in May, and all of a sudden I remember that there was a news or topic related to this thing in February. So I would just write down, refer to February, page number so-and-so. And then I would go back to February and then I would write down, refer to May, page number so-and-so. That helps you in interlinking a lot. So keep on doing this cross-referencing. I would suggest don't go for daily updates. Daily updates get very bulky. They bombard you with so much stuff that you're not able to handle it. And also don't go for yearly compilations, because yearly compilations, I don't know, maybe UPSC targets them or keeps an eye on them, but they don't help in the examination. It has been happening for the last 2-3 years. So you have many yearly compilations coming out. Better go for monthly magazines. It hits the sweet spot where you get all the important stuff and you're not bombarded with a lot of information. And you keep adding your own content at the back of it on the plain side. You keep highlighting it, and then you keep cross-referencing articles from each month. So, and another thing about current affairs, I would say, and this is very important, is that it's not current affairs anymore. It's sort of has become contemporary affairs. So UPSC covers a period of 2.5 years now. It's not just last 6 months or 1 year. So if you're writing in 2021, so let's say you're writing in 2021 June. So you should have done 2019, 2020, 2 years, and 2021, 3 or 4 months. So almost 2.5 years you should have done. That was my method.
Yes, sir. We will take last 2 questions now. So I will unmute Chaitanya. Chaitanya, please unmute yourself and ask question.
Good afternoon, faculties. So I wanted your tips on note making. How did you make notes? Actually, I will appear in 2021. So I have covered the basic NCERTs. So I wanted to know whether I have to make notes of basic NCERTs or reference books as of now.
Make so public administration, you can take Pawan sir notes, or you can attend his classes or make your own notes. NCERTs, I won't suggest make notes of NCERTs. You can just simply highlight it in the book and scribble at the side of it, or you can. NCERTs are not very bulky books. I personally never made notes of NCERTs, so I wouldn't suggest that. Public administration, you definitely need notes. For public administration, you cannot be going back to Mohit Bhattacharya or Nicholas Henry every time you have to revise a topic. Those books are written in a very academic fashion. They are written like essays, and when you're revising at the last moment, you can't be going back to. So you need very good notes for public administration. I made notes for modern Indian history. I made notes for economic survey. Your notes should be such that you are able to revise them. So my notes in public administration, I had 4 notebooks. I could revise them in 2 hours. One notebook, I could revise the entire notebook in 1.5 hours. So, and there's one thing about revision I would want to tell, or there's 2 things I would want to tell. There are 2 kinds of books in the market. Most of the books are cut, copy, paste compilations. They cut from some place or copy from some place, and they compile and they make a book. But then there are very, very good scholars. So you have Mohit Bhattacharya in public administration, or you have, let's say, Nicholas and many more. Similarly, modern Indian histories, you have Bipan Chandra. Read those books. You are reading sir's notes. You are reading your own notes. Spend time with those books. The thing about those books is that the more you read it, the newer things you will discover. You would be surprised. Okay, I read it last time, but I never noticed this thing. It was already written here, but I never noticed it. And the next time again you read that, you will realize, okay, there's a new thing which I never noticed. It was here. So some good books are very important. That's what I have to say about notes making. Don't make notes for current affairs. It gets very bulky, and just focus on public administration and some other subjects you would want to make notes of.
Thank you, sir. We will take last question from Ganesh. Ganesh, please unmute yourself and ask question. Ganesh is not available. Urvashi, please unmute yourself and ask question. Yeah, Urvashi, you can ask your question.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing in my graduation in distance. Is it okay? Is it I'm eligible for that UPSC?
I think you're fine.
Yes. Graduation in any discipline is fine. If you are doing through distance education or a regular, it does not really matter. You are eligible to prepare for UPSC examination. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
This is like just one last question from Sankit, sir. We will end with this. Sankit, please ask your question. We have unmuted you. Please ask your question.
Hello. Hello. Good morning,
yes.
Deepak sir. Good morning, Vinay sir. Congratulations on your well-deserved success.
Thank you very much.
Sir, I have started my preparation from past 4 months, and I am giving my attempt in 2021. Sir, what things should I keep in my mind as a beginner, and what should be my strategy for next 1 year until next prelims 2021?
See, we have already mentioned a lot of these things, what things you should keep in mind. But okay. I would say that go for an in-depth study. Okay. You still have time. For optional, okay. Pawan sir will tell you better how to go about optional. And, okay. When it comes close to your D-Day or your prelims examination, try and focus on prelims for the last 2-3 months. You can keep aside your optional, ethics, essay, everything. For essay also, you can take it up after your prelims. It won't be a problem. But right now, focus on studying your core GS and to some extent your optional.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Deepankar sir and Pawan sir. Sir,
thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity, sir.
Yeah, in fact, I should thank you because you are in police service and you are extremely busy with your job. In spite of that, yes. You have taken your time and come here to share your experiences. I sincerely thank. And also, of course, my heartfelt congratulations to you on your this splendid success. Let's hope that we will be successful all through your life. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for those kind words, sir.
Yeah. Kush,
Thank you very much, students, for
thank you
for
So,
attending.
I think,
yeah.
So thank you so much. I think we can stop the session here. It was a pleasure, hosting both of you, Dipankar and Pawan Kumar sir. And glad, you made it to success, and glad that Pawan Kumar sir, even after 13 years of teaching experience, continues to deliver stellar results. All India rank 1 and 42 and All India rank 11 also. So thank you so much. And to the students who are here, we are beginning with our online courses by Pawan Kumar sir for Public Administration and General Studies Foundation. In the month of August. So you can visit neostencil.com or pawankumaris.com for more information around the batches date. And we look forward to your success as well. So thank you, Pawan Kumar sir. Thank you, Dipankar. Thank you, everyone who has joined us. Be well. Keep safe.
Thank you very much, sir. All the best to everyone. Jai Hind.